Hi, I'm Damon Frank, and you're listening to The Recovered Life Show, and this is an episode of How I Did It. Every episode, I talk with someone in recovery about how they've been able to stay sober. We dive into what their life in addiction was like and what their life in sobriety is like now. Remember, addiction is a life-threatening condition, and the information in this episode is provided as a resource only and is not to be used or relied on for any diagnostic or treatment purposes. This is not a substitute when professional diagnosis or treatment is needed. Now, let's jump into the discussion and find out how they did it. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Why don't we start out by introducing yourself? Tell us your name, what addiction you suffer from, and how long you've been sober.
I've been an alcoholic all my life. It didn't start with drinking. It started with family.
So when you look back, when was the first time that you noticed a problem?
I never really noticed the problem until it was far too late. The reality of the situation was, I was drinking with a friend for my first time, his dad's beer. And it kind of just took off from there. The next day, I was drinking wine straight from the bottle. And then I passed out at home, and then I woke up and I went and got drunk with my older brother and older sister. The day after that, my dad gave me my quote-unquote first beer, is what he thought, but I had started drinking 2 days before, and I think he knew.
So tell us a little bit about your life growing up. Did you have members of your family that suffered from addiction? Did you identify early on that maybe you were different from your friends and people around you? Maybe you can share a story or an experience or a memory with us about your childhood.
Realistically, I don't think I've ever met someone who drank that wasn't an alcoholic. If if I did drink with someone who wasn't an alcoholic, I didn't notice at all. Basically, everybody I ever drank with drank as much or more than me. And anybody who didn't drink as much as me drank as often as me. So it's really a shaded area where I haven't seen people in the scene who weren't alcoholic.
I would love it if you could share with us what happened. What happened to your life as a result of addiction? What did your life become, and how did you live your life day to day?
Let's see. I'd have to say the exacerbation of my situation began when I moved out for the first time. Even though I was underage, I was going to bars, buying beer from local convenience stores, really just making a whole mess of my life. At work, I was encouraged to drink on the shift by not only the owners of the company, but everybody I worked with as well. I ended up brewing beer, and by that point, my drinking was out of control.
So let's go back to your bottom with addiction. What was going through your head the day that you decided to get sober? Did you make a decision? Was it challenging? Tell us what you were feeling and why ultimately you made that decision to try to get sober.
Well, at 23, I became not only an alcoholic, but someone suffering from dual diagnosis, co-occurring substance abuse disorder. And it wound me up living out on the street because I wasn't taking medication and I wasn't listening to the people in my family or friend group telling me to get help. I just wanted to be left alone. I felt like this is how it is now and this is how it has to be. So I'm just gonna live in this. And ultimately, it gave me the opportunity to realize at some point that I had a problem and I needed to take care of it, and no one could do it for me. I had to do it for myself. So I decided to turn the other cheek on what it meant to be homeless and recognize that I didn't have to live in this disease as well as, be without shelter. So I decided one day I could get real specific with the story because I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on the streets of San Diego, and a guy named Sal was passing out in front of a coffee shop. So I gave him my blankets and told him where he could go bed down for some safe sleep. And he took up off the road and bedded down where I told him to. And I waited a couple hours, and around noon, he met up with me and gave me my stuff back. And he had some beer with him. And he gave me a paper cup, a little 8-ounce paper cup, and filled it with beer. And I was standing on the street, it's noon, and I'm drinking out of a paper cup on the side of the street. And I was like, you know what? This is fucking over. I am done with this. This is trash. I need to clean my shit up. And that day, I decided to head downtown, catch a meeting, the next morning as well. And then I took off towards Los Angeles on foot, doing yoga on the beach twice a day, at sunrise and sunset, and just walking in between. I'd take a break around noon, catch lunch, catch a meeting, and that is how I got from San Diego to LA.
After you decided to get sober, what did you do? What actions did you take? I'd love it if you could discuss your first month of sobriety. What worked for you? What didn't?
10 days I was just walking on the beach, and I was checking out different beach towns, really taking in like the essence of Southern California living. I mean, I had lived out there in my early teens when I took my first drink, but I found myself back in Northern California where my drinking got out of hand, and I headed back down south eventually when I was on the street. But the first month was, I had made it to Northern California during the mid-month, and I was experiencing a lot of the rain. And when you're living out there and it's raining, you got nothing you can do. You're just wet and freaking miserable. It doesn't matter how hard you try to stay dry. There's just not an option out there. Shelters have wait lists and curfews and all kinds of things. And even though I was sober and could make these curfews, I didn't want to live like that. So I just kept walking north and found myself at the end of the month up in Mendocino, still sober, still able to cognitively behave, even in the depths of my disease. And it was just, I could tell life was different, and I knew how, but I wasn't sure in the beginning of how I was going to keep it.
So, what's it like now? Now that you're sober, tell us some things that have happened as a result of you being in recovery.
I think the biggest things that happened in recovery were the deaths that I started to see. I was in my late 20s, and now I'm 35. But in those late 20s, I had to call my older brother and tell him that his best friend died from an overdose. And he was in shock. I was in tears. He was in shock. And, I started sponsoring people, started working the program hard. Um, and I could tell it wasn't for me, but I went anyways. I was convinced to a man that if other people could find God through this program, I could find God too. And the reality for me was I never found God. Love is my higher power, and love is what got me through, and love is what gave me the opportunity to talk face to face with other addicts at a rehab in my neighborhood that I volunteered at. And it was when Dave passed away from complications of diabetes due to alcoholism, that I felt helpless. I felt like I couldn't help these people. Like, no matter what I did, these people were messing up. My other sponsee at the time, uh, James, slipped up, lied about using, almost wound up back in prison. His PO gave him another chance, and he straightened out. So, 1 out of 4 straightened out. The other 3 fell off to the wayside. One of them died, and it was just hard AF to deal with. So I had to stop.
What would be your advice to someone that is deciding whether they should get sober. You know, someone might be listening to this right now and they're on the fence about if they can do it. Should they get sober? Should they try? Maybe they've tried and it hasn't worked. What advice would you give to them?
My advice would be sometimes you find a $20 bill on the ground. That doesn't happen with alcohol. If you want to get sober or have to get sober, you're going to have to do it yourself. You're definitely going to need other people to help you along the way, but you have to want it for yourself. If you don't want it, if you're lying to yourself about wanting it, you're going to relapse. You're going to F off. You're going to do whatever you want to do to get drunk, get high, and get, messed up in whatever way possible. And there are going to be people concerned about you the whole time you do it, and those people, if you love them like you say you do, if you love yourself like you think you do, then getting sober isn't an option. It's a necessary step to completion. We all got to do it sometimes. Some people wait till the day they die. And, it's sad to see those people go. But the reality of the situation is there's a good life for us out there. And we have to be willing to take it for ourselves.
Hey, if you like this episode, think about supporting us by becoming a Recovered Life Plus member. At Recovered Life TV, we're not just delivering premium recovery resources, we're empowering you with the knowledge and tools that make a real difference in the quality of your recovery. By subscribing, you gain access to ad-free content, expert insights, exclusive video and audio segments, special projects, plus so much more, all while supporting our mission to spread the recovery message far and wide. Whether you're seeking to deepen your understanding or stay updated on the latest addiction and mental health recovery trends, Recovered Life Plus is for you. Subscribe now and start living your best recovered life. Just go to recoveredlife.tv and become a Plus member today.